Well, you mentioned Nick Cannon. And this is a weird one for me because Nick is actually my friend.
Yeah,
who's
Nick's
been on my
I love
show tons of times. Me and him, he's helped me through some personal issues in my life. I helped him through some personal issues. We've talked probably on the phone as much as we've talked on camera.
Sure.
And then he did that interview with Professor Griff. And me and him haven't talked. We were supposed to talk that day, and we couldn't connect.
He's too busy at synagogue to talk to you right now.
Too busy at the synagogue. So I'm not really going to say my feelings about him because me and him haven't talked yet.
Sure.
But when you first saw that interview, what did you think?
When I first saw the interview, I was like, what the fuck is he doing talking to Professor Griff? That interview could have never gone any other way than it did. And the fact that you didn't understand that was, if you get kicked out of Public Enemy because you're anti-Semitic.
Too extreme.
Probably you shouldn't do it.
Right. I've interviewed Professor Griff before.
Yeah.
And I've actually asked him about the anti-Semitic comments. He goes, look, this was part of a bigger interview. This was just a thing. This was my mindset back then. And
that would have been, but
it wasn't like he didn't, really, it was Nick talking more than Griff.
Right.
Nick was pretty much holding the torch in that conversation.
Right. And I didn't understand. Like, if you have somebody like that on, you already know that it's going to have a certain bent to it. So you have to be prepared to challenge some of the things he says. But nothing. There was zero. There was zero to be gained from it. And Nick really has to understand this. Nick is the host. Before America's Got Talent and The Masked Singer. Nick is accepted in the general market.
Mm-hmm.
He was on CBS radio. You can't get more general market for a black. There are very few black people that can do what he does. You got to decide if that's what you want. You can't be the host of The Masked Singer and these general market shows and then have Professor Griff on and think that audience isn't going to have a reaction.
Yeah. Well, I think with Nick, I think he struggles with, his success on the commercial side of things.
And he wants it edgy.
Versus being remembered as an icon to the black struggle.
Sure. And I get it. But let me tell you something. You can't be general market and then wear a turban looking like the Swami from Big. You can't do that.
Right.
You can't be general market. That is your bread and butter, literally. Like talk shows. Radio show.
Yeah.
You
you
can't walk around and I think that I've noticed that some people resent the things they don't have.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel that Nick wants to be like a Harry Belafonte. Someone who had a great deal of commercial success, but also spoke out against the struggle. But it's a line between those two. And listen, he came on Vlad TV and talked a lot of shit. Like he said a lot of edgy things.
Right.
But not quite as edgy as what he did.
Well, because look at the person
Griff.
he was talking to.
Right. He's talking to me.
Yeah.
A white Jewish guy.
Right. So it didn't look like it was insidious. It looked listen, and he put it back out. The interview was a year ago.
That interview was a year ago?
It was a year ago. It wasn't new. And he put it back out.
Right.
So
people always blame me about the stuff I put out, but Nick put that out himself.
Right.
On his own YouTube channel, with his own
editing, his own podcast,
his own everything.
He controlled the whole narrative. He could have said, we don't want this out. He could have not.
Of course.
And let's be clear.
Of course.
There is no other medium outlet where a guy like Professor Griff, and I love Public Enemy, but what other outlet could he be on besides a podcast?
Yeah. Professor Griff has his own.
That's it.
Little following. I'm not going to say little, but he has his own committed following, but it's not a mainstream following.
And it ain't worth, the steak ain't worth the sizzle, baby. It ain't.